Welcome back, guys. It's Kibler from the Brothers Geek Out podcast. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to our guest today. All the way in the East Coast. Am I right? Is that East Coast?
East Coast,
East
USA.
Coast, East Coast, USA. I got Tony Nelson, aka 80s Baby Collection.
80s Baby Collection is in the. We are in here, and I'm super stoked to be a part of this, and officially having friends in London.
Yes, definitely, man. Definitely, dude.
Awesome.
It's I've been following your journey since I joined TikTok, and like some of the stuff that you come up with, and your artwork. You're like an aspiring artist as well. But with the collectibles, it's like I think TikTok has really done something really cool that has brought a lot of people in this kind of niche market together. And I've made friends, honestly, across the world that I'd never thought I'd bump into and be like, man, I love this community, man. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. It's a little it's a little daunting at times because I don't have a niche.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into so many things, gaming, like you said, gaming, art, collecting. So I don't have one brand of thing that I like. So it was hard at first to get a footing into TikTok, but yeah, I'm just trying to cultivate and mold everything into, something cohesive to continue to make content. So but yeah, I've been an artist ever since I picked up a pencil. In younger years, preschool and stuff like that. And we're both products of the 80s and 90s, where I feel like the 90s, the comic book stories were just amazing, and now everything we're getting today is from people our age. Now they're saying,
That's
okay,
right.
let's expand this and put this on the big screen.
That's right. I mean, and that's an amazing transition, because like I was inspired by my uncle who collected comic books and is an amazing artist, and his thing was Star Wars, and he was like, he's the youngest youngest uncle in the family. He was like an elder brother to me. I
Right.
grew up with him, and we only have like a 7-year difference. So I'll always see him as an older brother, but he's still my uncle. But how he inspired me into this world, like he used to show me Wizard magazines, and he'd be like, listen, man, I can see, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Colossus if they do an X-Men movie, or, Jean-Claude Van Damme as a character from the X-Men. And I was like, I could see this. And then, you come into the early 2000s, like, oh my God, they're making a Spider-Man movie.
They're doing it. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of similarities there. I have an older brother. He's 5 years older than I am. So of course he showed me my first anime. He showed me my first comic book. And I grew up with a couple of guys that were also artists. And in elementary school, we would make our own wizard books and show how to do certain things in art, like anatomy and stuff like that. So we were making our own comic books, and I wish I still had some of that stuff. I might have it somewhere, but I'd have to dig for it. But yeah, we used to make our own comic books. We had our own characters. We would make wizard books and say and have a section where we teaching how to draw and techniques that we use. But yeah, a lot of similarities. As
That's
far
awesome.
as Star Wars go, that was also Star Wars and Star Trek. That was a big thing for us. I was born in 1980, so Empire Strikes Back is ingrained into my DNA.
Oh man, that's absolutely awesome, and that's a great movie. That's like top 10 all greatest movies of all time, still up there.
Absolutely.
Your wide collection is astonishing, dude. And like, I know as a collector, it starts off at a young age, but then you've gone into an area because, as you said, because I'm the same as you. I love everything, so I collect a bit of everything. What was, if you do remember, what was the first piece, the holy grail that started it all off?
In my current collection?
Yeah.
Well, the in my current collection, my first piece was the Voltron set.
Ah, nice.
The show had just came out on Netflix. I was a big Voltron fan from the jump. I had the Lions when I was a kid. I had the Cars when I was a kid. The show came out. The show was awesome. Then they dropped these, and I was like, okay, I have to get them all. And on vacation, I went to vacation in California in 2017, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the whole diecast set. And then I went to vacation in Myrtle Beach and got the bigger ones. And it kind of stopped. I got a one NECA Godzilla figure. So that was the basis of my collection back in 2017. It was just those Voltrons and a NECA Shin Godzilla. It wasn't until we moved into this house where I was given this room that I started really focusing on getting back to I feel like a collection is a mirror of your childhood. Me and my brother has a nice room. He has more gaming systems than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But we would always talk about all the things that the toys that we got for Christmas, our birthdays and stuff like that. I mean, I can still remember opening my box on my 12th birthday of all 4 of the Ninja Turtles from back in the 90s.
Oh man.
Mom got all 4 of them for me on my birthday. And just remembering the Christmas, my brother got Metroplex and I got Trypticon. And I guess where I'm at now at 41 years old is I'm at a place where I'm chasing the feeling of that carefree childhood. But as I've stated in some of my TikToks, I'm a functioning father. I got a full-time job. I'm a husband. I have the responsibilities of an adult, but I have a place where I can go and I can rekindle and reach out for that childhood again, and just be surrounded by things that gives me serotonin. Just it makes me happy. And the hunt to find something else, or trying to one day I'll just sit there and I'm gonna collect everybody from the MCU.
Yeah. And
then bam, it's on from there. And then it's a hunt. You're looking, you're searching, and it's a lot of fun, man.
It is definitely. I mean, the part that you pointed out on working the 9 to 5, family, husband, kids, like that's inspiring. My daughter's 3 years old now and she's the world to me. But I remember my wife telling me was like, make sure you don't lose that kid in you that I met. Like, because the stuff that you love, you adore, I want that sort of transcended to the little girl. Like, I don't want her to lose that kid in her. I don't want her to, so like a lot of people maybe say, why don't you grow up, blah, 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 this and that. I've done my time of growing up.
That's it.
I've done my time. I've made sacrifices, and now I get to enjoy it, and with my kid as well. So like, it's amazing to hear that across the platforms, because you don't hear that a lot. And I used to get it from my parents. My parents, they still don't get it. You're still wearing superhero t-shirts? You're like 40 years old now. And I'm like, it's me, Dad. You know, like when you're gonna like. They haven't, as much as they know that I love this stuff, and my brothers as well, because we're together. This is our world. My parents are like, I know he loves it. They just tease me now. They're like,
right.
because when we were growing up, it was something where it was like, oh, you can't tell people about this and blah blah blah, and what are other people gonna say? And I'm like, I didn't grow up that way, Dad, man. Like I know you were first generation in the UK. After Granddad served his time in the Second World War, you've come to the UK, and I got cinema off you. No matter what anybody says, you brought cinema to the house. You inspired me when it came to pop culture movies. He was a big fan of Western movies, Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood. Those movies are ingrained in me. I love those movies, and I'm like, Dad, you are the one that inspired me. But I can understand from a cultural view, it's not something that was accepted because of religion, culture, what people are going to say. Where he's broken out of that now because he's seen where all of his kids have headed, and it's like, wow, you know what? They did it, but yet they've still got the childhood with them, which is amazing.
Right.
Yeah. So like the parent inside of what you do is so cool, man.
So many similarities. So many similarities. My grandfather served in World War II as well. He was in the Navy. My father is a pastor. So but I was never censored from stuff. I mean, the rated R stuff, of course, but as far as pop culture, aliens, Star Wars, all of that stuff that came out, He-Man, I was never discouraged from enjoying that. And of course, a big thing with probably you as well is that art, being an artist, you have to gravitate to this stuff for inspiration.
That's right.
So in some ways I've found that links everything kind of together, because art is in everything, and especially in comics. I mean, in school, when it was reading time, I would get in trouble constantly because when everybody else is pulling out books like this, I'm pulling out the newest issue of X-Men. And then it would get taken away. But yeah, man, my parents are absolutely cool with my dad. He'll come in here, he'll just look around and he'll shake his head because of how he says the room feels like it's closing in on him. But he knows, like, my end all be all is Godzilla. That was my first love. Godzilla was my first love in '85, watching that movie on a fuzzy black and white TV. And it is still in me. I don't know, man. I saw a TikTok of you and you were emotional over the new episode of Boba Fett. And that really should speak to anybody that has any question on our mental about collecting and pop culture and just all of this stuff in general, because it's reaching back to a place that you become an adult and the world is caving in on you constantly with all your responsibilities and all the uncertainties that's happening with politics and government and just everything. But we get to go to a place that none of this stuff exists.
That's right.
And we can be free, we can be happy, and we can I'm not going to compare it to a religion or anything like that.
No.
But also it is freeing because of the places that this stuff can take you.
Of Of course, definitely, definitely. And a lot of people have compared it to religion and, you know, beliefs. I mean, I'm a Muslim. I'm an avid practicer. I do the best I can to be the best human being I can be, but I wouldn't put it to that context. It's I can't even use it as a form of, you know, that's my favorite drink. That's my favorite bud. You know, whatever I smoke or substances. This is kind of my substance to get myself away from, as you said, that reality of pressures of being a father, what the work out there, people out there. This is my little moment of like
Right.
getaway, you know. That episode meant a lot to a lot of people. It brought back so many emotions, and you know, I think my thing was that when we saw the original Star Wars trilogy, we got to experience the prequels to understand more about where it all started.
Right.
To come in to now, like we're getting to see our favorite characters still live on, and you know, we get to see what they've been up to. So it hit a nerve where it's like I get to see these characters continue. I'm grateful in the times that I'm in right now, because 20 years ago, I'd never thought I'd get any of this stuff that I'm getting on the big screen, let alone just collecting stuff. You know, they're rebranding, remaking stuff that I wanted when I was a kid. I'm going to grab that now. I'm going to enjoy that packaging, taking it off and getting excited. You know, it's a lot of people won't understand it, but for me, it's just that getaway, man. It's that wonderful feeling and ecstasy of like cracking open in when I got the gauntlet, the nano gauntlet. Like I remember feeling like my youngest brother lives in Singapore, who usually joins us on the podcast, and he brought it over as a gift, and I was like, dude, oh man, this character, what have you done to me? I got all emotional, and it was like, you know, it was like I knew you were gonna love it. I saw it, and I was like, Kibler needs that in his collection. So, like it means like little things mean so much. It doesn't have to be much. You know, somebody giving me a birthday card with Spider-Man on it, I'm over the moon, dude.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the little things that we take from it, which really like kind of propels in the things I do in my life. It really inspires me, because people tend to see how much we love this. And but my next thing was going to be the negativity about it. How have you dealt with some of the negative stuff that you've come around? Because I've seen some of the, like your TikTok is like a breath of fresh air for me when I see it, and you have so much meaning to some of the stuff that you do, dude. Like because you do the artwork as well, I relate to that so much more as well. But recently you've been talking about your collections, and one of your posts went viral recently, which is amazing, dude. That's always overwhelming when you see a post go like, "Bah, shit, this is amazing."
It's so fun. But as far as the negativity go, again, I did a TikTok kind of addressing it, where I said this video got hundreds of millions of views, tens of thousands of likes, but tens of people telling me that it's ridiculous. So a handful of people. I don't think anything about it. It doesn't bother me at all. For me, the biggest thing was it was helping me create more content.
You turned it into a positive.
Right.
You absolutely turned it into a positive.
And you know, that is all, because like I said, my brother, he collects. I have a cousin that I'm in a competition in right now, because listen, I told myself this year that I was going to fall back a little bit.
Yeah.
But he texted me a few days into the new year and told me his new year resolution was to beat me in my room. And basically that went out the window for me, because I was like, no. So yeah, we've been in competition, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, I have stuff in the floor that I have no space for. But it's fun, man. There is worse things that you could be doing,
of course,
other than this. And you know, and gaming, everything that's going on with that. But as far as the negativity goes, man, I know it's out there because, you're putting yourself on the internet.
That's right.
So you're not going to get all praise all the time. And if anybody has a problem with what we do collecting, please show me the groundbreaking free time activities that you guys are a part of. Are you like, what are you doing that's so amazing that makes us look? Because I guarantee that they aren't on a podcast with people in London.
No, it's
vice
true.
Versa.
No,
and meeting new people that are into the same stuff. And like I said in my other video, how it doesn't matter what you collect.
That's right.
I could collect DC, somebody else can collect Marvel, somebody can collect Funko Pops exclusively, somebody else can collect Marvel Legends. And if you present it in such a way, it doesn't matter who comes into your space where you have your collection, they're going to be amazed. They're going to stop, they're going to look around. So there's boundaries crossed. It doesn't matter who you are. So collecting, like I said, collecting transcends every difference a person could have in every aspect of their life, except for collecting, because that's where you're gonna create friendships and a bond, beyond politics or religion or the color of your skin or where you grew up, how you grew up. So that's the biggest part for me, because I love meeting new people with with the collection and just talking to them about how they got into it and the things that they're into. So it's a lot of fun.
No, definitely is. No, it's good, man. You've turned a lot of negative, like the negative side of things, into a positive side. And I remember when I first started my journey a couple of years ago, getting back into art. And so I stopped art for almost 15 years. I finished school and I jumped into full-time work, and got married, life. And then, I just got stuck into having too much fun, basically, living life. And then something tragic happened. I got divorced, and my mum was like, come back to the house. What are you going to do moping around in your flat by yourself? Come home, have a nice cooked meal. Your bedroom's still there. Come back home. And I came home and I went through the loft, and my mum kept all my artwork from when I was 15. And I just started going through it. And I swear, in that moment, my creativity kind of like flowed back to me. My love for comics flew back to me, because my mum didn't throw none of the stuff away. She kept them all in boxes. And I was like, Mum, you still got this? I thought you gave this to like the charity shop. And she was like, no, I kept it. It was your stuff. I didn't want to do what I did to your uncle, because I threw away his Star Wars toys and he wasn't too happy about that. And so I looked through my artwork. I still think I was a better artist when I was 15. I didn't have the weight of the world on my shoulders. But now, like, in my last 10 years of transitioning back into artwork, I found it very hard, because the negative comments I was getting originally, it wasn't, people were saying it wasn't good. I started off my YouTube channel. I was trying to not teach anybody. I was actually trying to teach myself to get back into art more. And I felt like the social platforms were growing bigger, because you had artists like Todd Nark and Jim Lee doing videos on how to do like artwork again, which really inspired me. And I found it very hard because of the negative comments that I got at the time, because I wasn't mentally there myself, but I didn't know what other people were going through at the same time. But then I was like, oh my God, some of this stuff is like really, really hurtful, man. Like what is it you're going through that you feel like you couldn't have done the same process? Because YouTube is a free platform. You can upload
Right.
whatever you want. TikTok is a free platform. You can upload whatever you want. I felt like what was stopping people from being who they want to be and showing that to the world? Because yes, it is a brave step to show yourself online and show your character and what you love online. And yes, you're going to have to go through that part. But I found it a bit difficult dealing with that side of things until later on in my journey.
Art is a whole different conversation, because it's personal.
That's right.
My art, so my art, I've been drawing for forever, and I haven't had a 15-year put down of art, but I will go a year or a few months without inspiration to draw anything. What I find in my art journey is that when I see people doing this incredible stuff, it will discourage me from doing my own art, or I will try to mimic them and fail miserably. My best art comes when I'm not thinking about it.
That's right.
When I'm not thinking about having to draw something, I'll get to a position to where I want to do commissions, where and one year I went really, really hard in commissions, and I made over $2,000 off of art in a year. It's not a lot, but at the same time, it's like I created something from nothing and made $2,000 out. And I just manifested out of nowhere. But yes, I've had negative comments about my art, and that hurts way more than somebody could come in here right now and tell me how ridiculous all of this stuff is. But if they tell me my art is crap, that's gonna hurt or hit harder. And I don't know if it's a way to keep that from affecting you, because you'll get told all your life by everybody, oh, you're such an amazing artist. And then that one person will say, oh, it looks bad. You're like, okay, was everybody that's telling me my art is great, were they just being nice to me? And this guy is actually telling me
the truth,
how my art is. But that is not the case. Normally it's somebody that's just, I don't know, down on themselves. And just like I said with the collection, please show me, draw me something.
Yeah, exactly.
if my stuff is crap, show me how to
show
do
me
it.
what you can do. Show me.
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's all about action. Like one thing that I've learned, and one thing that I tell most people, and when I do workshops, when it comes to doing art workshops, is just do it. Like try not to be so critique to yourself. The problem is that the world of social media and online is that everybody's going to create something amazing. But if you're doing it solely because you love it, then just create. Don't worry about what anybody's going to say. Get lost in your own world, draw and paint and digital art and whatever it is you do, just like get in the zone and do it. And I did a workshop last year, which was like absolutely amazing. And it's the self-confidence that we have within ourselves as an artist. You know, sometimes we feel like we're not creating as well as we could be. But it's giving them that hope and inspiration to say, look, like I didn't know where I was going with my art.
Right.
You know, and I still do it to this day now. It came back to me. Yes, I stopped, but it came back to me. I know that the past 2 years has been rough with COVID and people losing a lot of family, and you know, a lot has happened. But you guys came to the workshop. You know, I had 8 beautiful students with all creative minds from different backgrounds and amazing talents. And they were doubting themselves. And I was like the first thing I said after I think I started off the day with, I'm not going to say nothing. I want you to guys to put together some of your work and I want you to present it back to me. And what I saw in that moment was the love and passion that they had for the style of art they did, the artists that inspired them. And like, I saw them glow. I saw their aura. I was like, this is what I wanted. I can't teach you art. You guys have already got it in you. What I can give to you is inspiration and hope to say, you could probably get a job in this industry, or you could go freelance, or, you know, find your path, but you're going to have to do the work in the process. And, you know, 6 months down the line, hearing what some of the kids are doing now, like, it's mind blowing at the moment. I couldn't be more proud of them, but it was just that, forget about everything else around the world at the moment.
Right.
Create.
You took away their expectations of what a good artist is and let them just be in their space to create.
That's right.
So, you know, that right there is step one.
Right.
You gotta set that foundation for creativity first, and then technique and all that stuff will fall into place as you see artists that you love. Again, we're both products of comics in the 90s. So Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, and Rob Liefeld. He had he had some good stuff, but I don't know what I don't know what happened to him. I have some X-Force comics that he did that were decent enough, but I don't know,
the autonomy, dude. It's the autonomy. When I met him a couple of years ago, like, it's the first question I think a lot of fans say. Like, there is certain aspects of his artwork which is extravagant because that's the type of artist he is. But there is some, and you're like, you know, the structure of Captain's body on that image, like, what happened there, dude? And don't get me wrong, you know, he honestly said, you know, when you're on a tight schedule and you're working for companies like Marvel and DC, you know, you are just drawing, getting stuff out there. Back then, they didn't have people to proofread it or check if there was any mistakes in the artwork. They just wanted to get them out to the printers and get them colored and pushed out, you know. But it was like, you look at some of it and you're like, rah, dude, how can nobody notice that? What happened?
My thing is back then, someone was penciling. Someone had to ink that. No one said, what am I inking? And then no one said, what am I coloring?
It's so true, because he was like, we were working towards deadlines. We were just getting the stuff out there.
Yeah.
And again,
I mean, that makes sense. Someone's like, okay, we got to have this done by tomorrow. I don't know what this is. I'm just going to ink it.
Rob Liefeld, man, bless him. Cool guy, very cool guy. He did give us Deadpool. He did. Bless him for a great character there. And he's getting the credit he deserves. You know, we went through that stage of artists not getting credit for some of the creations that they did. I mean, listen, man, Jack Kirby's story still makes me cry, dude.
Right.
Still makes me cry.
And that was the culture.
Yeah, no, it is.
Back then. So
it is. You know, hearing that. And then Bill Finger, you know, co-creator of Batman, his story. My wife was like, you okay? I was like, nah, man, this is effed up. Like,
yeah, it's messed up. Yeah.
This is, I don't even know what to say, because even though I'm giving credit to Bob Kane, I'm like, this guy left the world not knowing what was happening until he got his, I think, I can't remember the person that, you know, did the investigations, found out, you know, now his granddaughter is getting the credit that she deserves, the money she deserves. You know what I mean? He's getting his name that comes up on films. So it's amazing that it's come to that point where, you know, he's getting credit for that. And, you know, I know the industry's, any type of industry is snaky. You know, you've got to make your mark when it comes to presenting something and not somebody else taking it. It's so difficult, the world we live in now, because
that's kind of it discourages me too, because any type of success has a little bit of snaky shadiness behind it to get into position.
Of course.
And that is not the type of person that I am. And I guess I'm good to a fault in some cases.
Yeah.
I have a comic book right now. I have a story. I have a character right now. That if I made it, it would be awesome. The only problem is it'll be written by Tony Nelson, illustrated by Tony Nelson, and produced by Tony Nelson. So I had to do it all. But I'm looking to try to get this thing going. I don't know how long it's going to take, but like I said, it's written and everything. I just need to storyboard and draw it.
Yeah, it's a hard process. It's a long process. It's very long. I've had a project underneath my belt for 3 years. I've only got to the scripting stage. You know, it keeps getting held back. I ask advice from other writers to find out if the structure's right and, you know, will it work? It's because I'm a big fan of Back to the Future. It's a time travel comedy. You know, some of it's too technical. They're like, you've got too much science in it. You know, you've got to change it up. And then, you know, I end up to keep myself on the same track. I end up doing some books for my daughter. And I'm enjoying doing the kids' books. A bit more easy to do. You know, not so technical when it comes to drawing, but it gives me joy when she looks in the book and see mommy and daddy in the book. The grandparents are in the book. You know, she goes on a journey with all the family. So I've really gone into that kind of phase where I'm enjoying these kids' books, but that project is still sitting there. And I know that if I don't get it done, and I have to do it, as you said, I'm the writer, I'm the draw artist, I'm gonna ink it, color it, I'm gonna self-publish it, try and push it out on social media, but it would be a personal project to me, you know. To say it's more of a legacy thing. It's like I'm going to leave back something. It doesn't have to be big. It's just so that people know that kids, you know, my great grandchildren or whatever, be like, kids did a comic book, you know.
Yep. Spider-Man and Batman started that way. You know, it was a couple of guys spitballing ideas in a room they were probably more than likely broke. And, you know, they just had this talent for stories and art, and they threw it together. And now Batman and Spider-Man is a multi-billion-dollar industry that just came out of an idea from people that, you know, with all of these things with the MCU and it's amazing to me because it's like, somebody thought of these characters and now these characters exist in a real way that's inspiring people. You see the Spider-Man cosplayers on TikTok and some of the people on TikTok do make me jealous, like Straw Hat Goofy.
Oh yeah.
Straw Hat Goofy talks about movies. I talk about movies. But he did it in such a way that I'd never be able to articulate or speak to it the way that he does, as fluent as he does.
That's right.
And, you know, kudos to him for all that he's been able to accomplish. Him and Soups. Soups gets on my nerves, but he's a great guy. Passionate, beyond passionate for the stuff that he does. Unapologetic. I got nothing bad to say about that because, you know, when you're that passionate about something, that everybody's going to notice. Yep. And they're going to say, hey, if you're passionate about it, come on and be a part of it. And that is amazing in terms of what social media is today, especially with TikTok. And, you know, pushing your story out on TikTok and just showing the journey, you know, that's all it's about. And then getting to the end to where you have something tangible in your hand that you can really show people. That's what I want to get to.
Oh man, you will, man, dude. It's hard work and putting the time in. You know, I've I've had some amazing experiences over the past, I could just got to say, past 5 years has been absolutely nuts. And this was like with social media, because how big it is, and TikTok has made it massive. And those two, Straw Hat Goofy and Soups, you know, I couldn't articulate certain things in the way they do. You know, you got passion and you got smart way of doing something, which is absolutely amazing. And it's kept me engaged with the content. It's inspired me as well to do some of the stuff that I do with my content. But there are certain things that I can't do. But I know that my journey so far with what I did with my artwork and where it's taken me, you know, there's, you know, social media has opened. I never thought I'd meet some of the people I've met in the process of opening up social media. You know,
it's so awesome, man. I met a guy a few years ago on Instagram. He's also a big Godzilla fan. We actually have a podcast together. It's called United Kaiju Podcast.
Links in the bio. Links in the bio.
Yeah, United Kaiju Podcast. We've got 4 or 5 episodes, and then of course life happens, so we're trying to get into a space where we can do video and all that stuff. But we're on Anchor.
Nice.
And I think it shoots it everywhere, Spotify and all those places.
All streaming platforms, guys. All streaming platforms. Make sure you check it. I'm gonna get the links all in the description, guys. So follow, show some love, get on his TikTok as well, because he's got some great content.
But yeah, that's and you know, without this stuff, it's people I never would have met.
That's right.
Without these interests and stories and characters and stuff that inspire so many people. And you know, art is no different. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, you're scrambling as an artist. I'm pretty sure you're the same. You got people telling you should be doing this. You should have a comic out, or you should try to do this, do that. Exactly where I am. Also, if you, well, this is probably inverted, but I have a brand called Why Not Inspire.
Nice.
The logo.
There you go.
Let me
look at this. Some product placement. Let's do this.
Logo.
Awesome.
What it is, it's about people like you and me that sometimes get discouraged from doing what we love to do. And so, you know, it's that's why it's called Why Not. So it's basically my name backwards. Tony, why not? So why not inspire other people to do what they love to do unapologetically? If it's not hurting anybody, collecting, drawing, talking about movies, do it. Do what makes you happy. So I started this a few years ago, 2019, I believe. It was right before the pandemic. 2020, I had a lot of stuff lined up for it. But the pandemic hit and kind of threw everything off track. But I did it because I was at a place where I was discouraged about my art and not seeing a space for me to create. And then I said, I came up with it. I was like, why not? Why not? That's that thing that you're telling yourself that you can't do. Why not try it?
Why not try it? Exactly.
If you know, failure is a step towards success. You have to fail a few times before you can succeed. So why not step out and try it?
Of course. Dude, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Guys, links in our description box. Make sure you go check it out. Go. All right. So, Tony, massive thank you again. It's nice to geek out with you, but like get inspired in the process as well. But before we kind of sign out, there's a question I always ask most of my guests.
Okay.
If you had a superpower in this reality, what would it be?
As kids on the playground, we would always argue over being Wolverine. I just think his healing factor is so cool. The healing factor that he has is cool. So I guess everybody would say flying or super strength give me that healing factor.
Yep.
Give me Wolverine's healing factor times 20.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That's it.
Because that's my one. When they ask me that question back, it's healing power. I don't want the adamantium. I don't want the claws. I'm not a violent dude. I don't like conflict. Healing, I'll take a punch. As long as I heal, I'm cool.
Right.
But healing. I don't know. I think just because of, originally I went through Gambit. I kind of like kinetic energy and throwing it back out there. Bishop was another character as well. And then, Wolverine, I think over the past, 2 years of what we've been going through with the pandemic, I just felt like healing powers, man. Healing powers. If I can share healing powers or, be a healer, that's it's weird. It went from, as you said, flight, super strength, teleportation, healing. That's amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely,
awesome.
Man.
Awesome. Dude, before I sign off, where can people find you, dude? I want you to say everywhere they can find you.
Oh, man. My Instagram is 80sbaby_collection. I recently changed my my TikTok to the same thing, 80sbaby_collection. My YouTube is 80sbaby_collection. My YouTube is under construction, so there's only a handful of videos on there. But I am looking to expand and kind of create a cohesion through all of my social media.
Cool.
Apart from that, I want to say thank you for letting me on. This has been the coolest thing I've done in a while. Just sitting here talking to a fellow artist, a fellow collector, a fellow lover of all things pop culture and Star Wars and Marvel and all this stuff. And I truly appreciate the opportunity to be on with you, man.
No, oh man, blessings. It's always a pleasure because the main reason I started this podcast, well, I didn't start it was actually my brother who lives in Singapore at the moment. And just to give you a bit of an origin story for the Brothers Geek Out podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms, guys. Thank you very much.
I love the name.
My brother moved to Hong Kong 10 years ago. He works for a company, but he's a martial artist. He's a mixed martial artist. He moved to Hong Kong because Bruce Lee inspired him massively. We started losing. Awesome.
That says be water.
Awesome. He'll love this. When he sees this episode, he's going to love that. He moved to Hong Kong, and when families separate, and even when in friendship, you lose contact, you lose that closeness. We realized we weren't talking as much. You dropped the 1 or 2 WhatsApps. I flew out and got to see him for a couple of weeks, and then I came back, and then eventually you lose that tangible thing that brothers, families, and friends have, is the distance. And we love what was coming out. We've been doing this podcast for 4 years now. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Universe, the movie, pop culture was growing massively in between that year. And our conversations on Skype were us just geeking out, what we saw, what we talked about. And then he said, Kibbs, why don't we do our own podcast and just share it to the world and see what happens? Doesn't matter if we get 5 views. I get to speak to my brother on a weekly basis. And it did. We've continued. We've continued to do the podcast. Again, we don't look at numbers or anything. It's just 2 brothers. But once we started inviting guests onto the show and geeking out and talking about the same things we do, really brought everything much more closer, because
Right.
You know, I got Germany, friends in Germany, Tokyo, the States now. You know, it's amazing and it's wonderful what a platform like this can do and bring people together. And, you know, I couldn't be more thankful,
Absolutely.
Tony. Couldn't be more thankful. So massive thank you again, guys.
Hopefully I'll be on again.
Oh, you know what? I was going to say, because you got that Godzilla collection and I wanted to do an episode on that section on why, because I know that's a conversation in itself. But what I do tend to do with some of the guests that do come back, if it's a TV show or a movie that came out recently, I mean, we did Spider-Man No Way Home last year. We had guests from Germany come on and just totally, we called it the therapy session because it was emotional. So we do another section of the podcast, which is called the therapy session, the Geek Out session, where we air our thoughts, what we liked, what we didn't like. And some of us cry in the process because, you know, we can't believe we got 3 Spider-Man on the screen.
It was
absolutely nuts, dude. Absolutely
nuts.
Man,
my theater that I experienced that in was so dead.
Oh no.
You hear a pin drop.
Oh no.
I was clapping. My wife nudged me, said, "Stop clapping." I'm like, no. All 3 Spider-Man on the screen and everybody's in here like snoring.
No, scream. I got in trouble. The security came and told me that I had to leave. I was like, dude, please, you don't have to do this right now. Please, not halfway through the movie. Please let me enjoy this moment. And, you know, I was like, there's loads of other people screaming up there, man. Come on.
I messed up and went to a theater that was closer to me instead of going to the one where I went to see
Avengers Endgame,
Infinity War, Endgame, My Hero Academia, the movie that came out a few years ago.
Yeah,
that theater was jumping.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But COVID made me I go to the theater closer to home and not venture too far out.
I don't blame you.
That was a mistake.
It's a hard one. It is a hard one. But no, definitely, Tony, I'd love to have you back on the show again. I do want to do that Godzilla section. The channel is growing. You know, we moved platforms. Originally, I had a channel where I just did my artwork, which was Kibla Ahmed Art. But we've moved the podcast to its own page, its own platform, so people can just come to see one thing. Because it is hard because we love so much of the stuff, but focus on the one thing. And yeah, no, awesome, dude. I can't thank you enough, definitely. And I hope to catch you guys soon. Guys, more links in the description. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you go follow Tony on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and the platforms that are available. And dude, massive thank you again. I know it's early over there. Much appreciated to have you on the show.
About to get the day going.
Awesome.
On a good note.
That's
after this awesome
brilliant
conversation.